For the skills, it's very important that you double check the skill sections right here and take a look at these supports, because I actually did a couple of changes. It actually boils down to fresh clip and its effectiveness being increased with the fix to the quality of the shockburst rounds. With the patch, this actually starts working. Currently, we don't really get the +7 bolts loaded per clip, which puts us at 26 bolts per clip, therefore increasing the effectiveness of fresh clip. And also what's very important here is that fresh clip does not look at the bullets that you are loading in with just one clip. Instead, you need to, and I've gotten that question quite a couple of times, you need to look at the past 6 seconds and the amount of bolts you have reloaded during those 6 seconds. So the more often you are going to reload and the more bolts you are going to reload in 6 seconds, the more value fresh clip is actually going to get. This prompted me to put martial tempo on the shockburst rounds and do a couple of switcheroos here. You will definitely have to change this again as soon as we get our hands onto POB. This is going to help us fine-tune the build even more, and obviously all of the fresh clip scaling is also going to be further amplified with hover. Here you can see that my hover isn't really that great. I just bought one of the cheapest ones I could find, just so I can actually get a feeling on how much damage this is going to bring to the build. Obviously, what you wanted to have ideally would be a 4% increased attack speed per 25 dex. For the gear, as I just said, hover actually is an amazing upgrade to basically all of the attack-based builds. So obviously that also is going to work for this build right here. And then, as you already spotted, in the max roll planner, we are going for energy shield. Energy shield just currently before the big patch with all of the new classes probably and all of the new changes or the balancing. The energy shield is going to give us the most bang for our buck. Therefore, we are going to use it and abuse it as much as possible. For this, we are changing to an energy shield chest that also has evasion rating, and we're using energy shield boots. These flat amounts of energy shield are giving us tons of energy shield through the various scalars that you can find up here, for example, with the mindful awareness, with the increased evasion rating and energy shield. Ideally, you would want to have these 2 points as well, but ideally you would find that in the passive tree on the max roll planner that is going to be linked down in the description below, where you can see the energy shield variant and you can see the pathing corresponding to the Witch Hunter. Or also, if you are playing this on a Deadeye, I will also link a Deadeye version down in the description below, so you can actually mix and match the corresponding skill trees. For the Deadeye, it is just that much stronger than the Witch Hunter, but I agree that a lot of people, or I see that a lot of people don't want to reroll just for a build, and I probably also wouldn't recommend rerolling to play the same build on a different ascendancy. I would probably just go and build another build before I would do that. But if you have a Deadeye ready and you already have the gear from the previous Witch Hunter version, then you could just swap this over to the Deadeye and try out how much more powerful the Deadeye actually makes the explosive shot shockburst rounds build. Then, very important here, due to swapping to evasion rating and energy shield, right here, we are not going to play acrobatics anymore. This makes it so that now you actually have more evasion rating again. So as you can see right here, I'm currently sitting at 10.7k, which is a roughly 78% evasion chance. And on top of that, we are going to basically absorb the damage that is coming from all of the ground effects into our energy shield that is then being buffed by stuff like Grim Feast and effectively doubled. Very important for the jewels, you can actually see that we have quite a lot of them incorporated into the build, and you can see a very important thing right here, the jewel priority list, when you click on the nodes right here. I currently can't open this one up, but for you it will be able to full screen this one. Here you can see not only the starter variant jewel prio, but you can also see the energy shield variant jewel prio, or if you want, you can also find the exact same thing in the written detailed explosive shot Witch Hunter build guide. down here in the gearing section, you can see the jewels right here. You can see all of this listed for your needs. And then if you scroll down a little bit down to the energy shield variant gear changes, you can also find the same thing for the energy shield version jewels. If you want more info, obviously looking through the full written build guide right here is going to actually answer tons of questions already. And if you do have more, you can always check out the energy shield variant section here in 0.5. There I'm going into way more detail why you are changing stuff, how to change stuff. You can see again the jewel prio, you can see the variant skill changes and what you should quality or not. If you start fighting the pinnacle bosses, I strongly suggest you do the murderous intent right here onto the emergency reload so you actually get a cull on the build. But way more important than that is to actually swap out your Grim Feast for Ghost Dance with Fast Forward, because Grim Feast is only really giving you a higher overflowed energy shield when you can actually spawn remnants, which requires you to kill enemies. So if you do not have the option to do that, which is usually the case on the pinnacle bosses, then Grim Feast does nothing for you. So I would always swap over to Ghost Dance, Fast Forward to get the Ghost Shrouds a little bit sooner and faster. And this way you are going to become more tanky overall, because if you're not getting one shot, you are actually going to recover energy shield equal to 5% of your evasion rating. Then on top of that, I would also get rid of Herald of Ash for Voltaic Mark, because actually you are going to increase the chance to shock. But way more important than that is that you want to have the 30% increased effect of marked enemies for shock. And if you also quality up your Voltaic Mark, you get another 15%. Equaling 45% increased effect on marked enemy. This is how I'm able to get 50% shock onto the enemy constantly as long as the Voltaic Mark is on the target, which obviously helps tons in single target encounters. For the passive tree, it's really cool if you can actually get to the point of having two almost equally good crossbows. This allows you to basically use your weapon set skill points so that you can further amplify your explosive shot while also further amplifying your shockburst rounds. You do this by putting, for example, your single target crossbow into weapon set 1 and the AoE or explosive shot crossbow in weapon set 2, for example. This could also have stuff like loads an additional bolt, which is very effective for explosive shot, but in my opinion, more so a quality of life feature and definitely not required. You do this to be able to mix and match the weapon sets. As you can see right here, currently my weapon set number 1, Speak, my shockburst rounds setup is active. Therefore, I can actually get more of the lightning damage nodes into the build while I have the first crossbow active. Furthermore, this also gives me the ability to also allocate these points right here. And on the other hand, if I'm now looking to increase my explosive shot effectiveness with the second weapon set, I also get the ability to, for example, increase the attack area damage or increase the area of effect for attacks for my explosive shot setup. And you do this by basically having a second crossbow. They need to be kind of similar in strength, ideally, but if you can still one-shot stuff with a weaker second bow with explosive shot, a crossbow, that's definitely fine as well. Then you can also do a couple more shenanigans right here. For the second weapon set, which is again my explosive shot setup, I can also increase the magnitude of shock I inflict and also increase the mana regeneration, or very important in single target encounters, the shock duration. This is going to be on your second weapon set because this is the weapon set that you are shocking with. Don't make the mistake of putting this onto your first weapon set, which is for your shockburst rounds, because you're not actively shocking with the first set. Instead, what you need to do is you need to shock with the second weapon set with your explosive shot setup So you allocate the corresponding nodes on the passive tree for that weapon set. I'm very much looking forward to POB releasing so we can start squeezing out the absolute maximum out of the explosive shot, shock burst rounds, Deadeye or Witch Hunter, depending on which ascendancy you want to play this on. I'm currently live on Twitch, so check me out. The links are gonna be down in the description below. And if you like content similar to this, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.